Today we'll add a twist. We will actually install two OSes at the same time rather than just one. And the second one, I will actually demonstrate you how to do it on the same hard disk. It is the safest way. And in case you are worried that by upgrading your OS can actually put your applications and your other regular work at risk, you can also try out this strategy. If you feel that you are not a techie and you are okay with the regular setup, feel free to skip to the country and region selection screen, and from there onwards everything will be similar to how a new machine arrives and you actually set up your OS. Do subscribe the video before you leave, So in this section what we'll do is we will create a virtual disk. It is a subset of your main hard disk. For me this is 2 TB SSD hard drive, and I will take a partition of 200 GB and I will use that partition to install my newer OS. So it's shut down right now, and I'll just long press and keep it until the startup options appear, like it's saying continue holding until the startup options. Now it's saying loading startup options, so I've released the power button. Alright, so here we are in the startup screen, and it is giving me an option to select regular hard disk, which is the Macintosh HD, which is the default one, and it will actually boot the regular OS that I have already installed. But we want to take a different path and we want to do a fresh installation. For that purpose we'll click on options. Basically we are going into the recovery mode right now, and here we are in the Mac OS recovery, and here it is saying select a user you know the password for. I will just use my user which I already have the password for. Alright, now it is giving me option to restore from time machine, reinstall macOS 10 web browser or disk utility. So first I will show you how I have actually created a separate partition on my 2 TB SSD. So I'll just open the disk utility for you. And here you will see that there is this Macintosh HD, and additionally I also created a demo volume, and what I'll do for you is I'll just delete it and create it from the scratch for you guys. So I'll just delete it. Macintosh HD, which has the capacity of 1.8 TB, which is roughly around 2 TB hard disk that we get. It is an SSD hard disk, so it's very fast. Now what we'll do is we'll create a partition here. I'll just right click here, add APFS partition as demo, and I'll also select what size of partition I need. So for now I'll select 200 GB and click OK. And here you can see that there are now two hard disks available. One is the default name Macintosh HD and the other one is the demo. And basically what we can do is we can install our OS on either of them. For Macintosh HD the OS is already installed. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to install OS on this one. So now what we'll do is we will reinstall macOS 10. Alright, agree. So here we have two options. One is the Macintosh HD, like I mentioned earlier, which is 1.8 TB total, and here is the demo 200 GB total, because this is the size that I actually specified. But in reality this demo is just a subset of this Macintosh HD. So I'll pick demo here and click continue. It's saying select a user to set as owner of the new volume. I'll just keep myself as the owner. Now it is also asking copy account settings from Narendra Sharma, which is my primary hard disk username, but I'll just keep it as unchecked because I want you to show how a fresh install looks like. I'll click on install. Your computer is not connected to a power source. Apple recommends that you plug in and connect your power adapter before installing. Are you sure you want to proceed? I think we do have a decent battery, which is 79% as of now, but if you are low on power I would suggest you to plug the MacBook. Ideally what you should do is you should actually charge it more than 70% or 80%, so just in case your power goes off in between the installation you are still covered. So I'll just click continue now. Now recovery is trying to change the system settings. Enter an administrator name and password to allow this. Okay, here the installation has actually started. It will take some time to install the Mac OS 10 on our new hard drive. It's a virtual hard drive, but yeah, it's called demo. And here you can also go to installer log. If you are curious, if you are a techie, you can also look at these logs and see what is being done in the background. I think it's going to take a lot more time than we imagined. It's saying 2 hours 26 minutes remaining, which is too much, buddy. So I think it's almost about to complete. So from here on, the regular macOS setup begins. So we have actually reached this step where it is asking for selecting the country or region. We'll select India. Now it's giving me an option to transfer your data. You can transfer your data from another Mac or Windows PC. So here, if you have another Mac you want to transfer your data from, you can use it. If you have a time machine or startup disk, you can do that. If you want to know more about time machine, I can make a video around it, how to use it and how to create a time machine. But just consider it as a backup, and you can actually take a point in time backup and restore it. You can also transfer data from another Windows PC, or you can set up with iPhone or iPad or set up as new. So today I just want to demonstrate how to set up as a fresh installation without having any other device or any backup. So I'll just select setup as new. Here you have the option to select preferred languages, input sources or dictation. I think the default one is okay for me. If you want to select a different language apart from English India or something like that, you can just go ahead and click on customize settings and then pick the different language or keyboard input layout. I'll just click continue. For the accessibility part, you can actually use different features for vision, motor, hearing or cognitive. I will not be covering this part. If you want me to cover the accessibility features, just let me know in the comment section. Now I will just select the Wi-Fi. Where's my Wi-Fi? I forgot the name of my Wi-Fi. Alright, it's GEEKNaren. How can I forget that? Let me type the password. Data and privacy, you can just click on continue. So here we are at the step where you have to create account for your MacBook. I'll just say my full name is GEEKNaren. It automatically used it as account name. This account name actually becomes the home directory. Try to keep it short and don't use spaces, because otherwise if you are a developer you might land into problems where you have to always use escape character. I will not go into detail about it, but just the basic guideline is use a single word, maybe a hyphenated word or underscored word, but keep it very short. That's the suggestion. The password, I'll just keep it whatever password you want to have a strong password so that no one is actually able to guess it and get access to your machine and your personal data. So there is another option here, allow computer account password to be reset with your Apple account. You must sign in with your Apple account in the next step to use this feature. So this feature allows you to actually reset your password in case you forget this Mac's password. So recovery option basically. So I would suggest you to do that. So I'll just keep it checked for now. So here you can actually go ahead and create a new Apple account if you don't have it. If you have it, then you can actually specify that email ID and password and then click on continue. But for this demonstration I'm not going to do it. If you want me to do it, just let me know in the comment section and I will demonstrate that as well. But for now I'll just say setup later, because I'm not planning to use it for my regular purpose. Otherwise I would have actually logged into the Apple account. So I'll just click setup later. So you have to actually accept it anyways. So now this is an important section, which is Find My. This actually helps you remotely lock and erase your Mac in case it gets stolen. I hope it never happens, but it's just a safety measure. It is indicating that Find My will use the Apple account, which is my Apple account ID. It knows about it because the Mac's serial number is actually registered to my Apple account ID, because I already installed and set up my Apple account ID on the other hard disk like I mentioned in the beginning. So I'll just click continue. Then here the option is to enable location services. So this actually totally depends upon you whether you want to enable location services or not. If you're using maps or some other services like weather updates or something, you might actually need it, but otherwise you can also keep it turned off. So I'll just leave it as is. I will not be turning it on. I'll just click continue. Yes, don't use. Now I have the option to select my time zone so that I see the right clock and the time. Here I'm saying set time zone automatically using current location. So this is one of the features you get if you actually enable location services. If I'll just turn it on, then it will prompt me to turn on location service. Since I don't want to share my location actively, I'll just turn it off and select the time zone manually. Let's say I'll try to select Delhi, India, and it automatically selected the right time zone, which is Indian Standard Time Zone, which is plus 5:30. So here we have the analytics section. You can actually uncheck all of them. Screen time is basically the report that it gives you, like how many hours you actually spent on your MacBook, which apps you used. So if you want to set it up, you can do it. You can also, customize it to have certain restrictions, like you don't want to use this app for longer than this many hours, or you want to restrict purchases or something like that. So I think more relevant if you don't have control on yourself, or you are actually thinking of sharing this MacBook with your kids, then I think it will be more relevant. But for now I will just say setup later, or let's just say continue. Now it says Apple Intelligence. So this is new, and it will be actually giving you new features like live translation in messages or phone calls or FaceTime. When you are talking, they will actually do the live transcriptions. Basically, you can experiment. If you trust Apple Intelligence, you can turn it on. I'm not sure if they do it on local or they do it remotely, so whether your data is safe or not. So just choose wisely. I think I'll just say skip. Siri, I don't really use Siri. I have not been using unless it really gets better. I'll turn it off. This is one of the most important settings that I actually always promote, and I want every one of you to actually adopt for, which is FileVault. What it does is it actually encrypts your storage or your hard disk, so that if it gets stolen, or if you actually provide your MacBook to some repair guy, your data is safe. So no one can actually decrypt it without a recovery key. So this is one of the ways you can actually keep your data safe and secured. So I'll just turn it on. Now it is actually giving me the recovery key that I was talking about. So if I lost my MacBook password, and if I also lost my recovery key, which is this, then I will not be able to recover the data. So that's a caveat. I will actually demonstrate you how to set up this FileVault after this setup as well. So I will just click on not now, set up Touch ID. So this is one of the really good features of MacBook, which is the Touch ID, and I really encourage everyone to adopt for the Touch ID. It actually allows you to log into your MacBook without worrying about someone over your shoulder looking at your password. So we'll just click continue, and here what you have to do is you have to just place your finger, so any finger of your preference you can use, and just keep on tapping until it says your Touch ID is ready. Here you can see that it is saying Touch ID is ready, and we can click on continue. Now choose your look. You can set it to auto. It will actually automatically switch between light and dark depending upon the time. So if it is daytime, it will turn to light, and if it is night or evening, it will turn to dark mode. So I'll just prefer to keep it auto. And now it is asking you whether you want to update your Mac automatically or not. Personally, I would not recommend to have this, because sometimes there are breaking changes with your OS updates. So unless you are confident that this new OS is working well and there are no issues in the forums, you can actually decide whether you want to update it or not. You can take a conscious call. I actually mostly use only download automatically, even for my iPhone as well as on the MacBook, so that a corrupted version of OS doesn't get installed into my system and my work is not hampered. So yeah, we are actually finally at the stage where we are seeing the welcome screen, and it says get started. All right, so it is asking me to unlock the drive. So I'll just provide the password to the drive. You will not see this screen because I have actually created a new demo version of partition, and that's why it was asking for this. Otherwise you will not be actually seeing this. So now that all the systems are installed by doing so much hard work, not so hard work, but it was lengthy. Now I will demonstrate you how to switch between these OSes. Here we are in the main OS. So just to be able to differentiate between the two OSes, I'll just give you an idea that here there are some different apps that I have actually installed, like the IntelliJ IDE, Firefox, Chrome, and other applications. So for switching between the OS, what we'll do is we'll just shut down our Mac first. So now our Mac is completely shut down. So usually in order to turn on your Mac, what you do is you just press the power button, right? But here what we'll do is we'll press it until a menu appears which will say continue to press to load startup options. So here it goes. I'll just long press it. So it's saying continue holding for startup options, and then it's saying loading startup options. So here you will see that there are three options. The first one is the Macintosh HD. This is the primary 2 TB hard disk, and the main OS is installed there. And this is the newer demo hard disk, which is a virtual hard disk, and this is a carved out partition of 200 GB from this Macintosh HD. And here you can now select either of them during the startup. So now I will select the demo one, click continue, and now it will boot like a regular OS does. And here you can see this time the username is GEEKNaren. I will enter the password, and you can see that many applications are there now, because these are the default applications placed on the dock when you actually set up a new OS. So this is what makes the setup safe and your original system stays untouched while you experiment with the newer OS. So in the next episode, we'll cover macOS post-installation step, where I recommend some best practices and some settings related to privacy and security before we start using it for our regular work. So if you feel like these videos are useful for you, do consider liking them, commenting on them, share what was good, what can be improved, and any other topics that you want me to include, that is also okay, and I'll consider them. Do subscribe the channel, it will help me stay motivated and document my journey. And this is Naren signing off from GEEKNaren. See you in the next one.